All right, my name is Ryan. This is Ryan Talks. I'm talking about mental health. I gear it more towards men, but it really it can help anybody. Like, this does not just apply to men, but I think men, they suppress and repress emotions to the level that I have. And I'm just now 41 years into being on this planet, spinning ball in the sky. I'm just now getting into my emotions. And it has been a rough ride. And I wanted to talk about this because I want other people to see the journey. Okay. I don't want to come at this. I don't want to wait 3 years, until, or maybe it'll only take me 3 months. I have no idea. I've never done this before, but I did want to get it out there. I want people to see what happens. So the thing is I've recently found that you've got to let go of your emotions. And I know this sounds a lot easier than it is, but it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it does. So one of the things that I've gone through lately is I'm starting to realize that I've always felt unworthy of being in a relationship. So I self-sabotage my relationships. I also feel like, this is nothing against my parents, and I know I mentioned this in the previous video, but I felt abandoned when my sister was born. I know this is not a normal, maybe it is a normal thing. I don't know. Nobody talks about this stuff because she was 7 years younger than I. And, I think it doesn't happen as much if you are like, bop, 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 like Irish twins, right? Like one a year, right? You're kind of used to it by the time you're old enough to realize what's going on. You realize that, you're all exactly the same and your parents love you mostly the same, right? But for me, I just felt like I was ripped from my parents. And I'm just now realizing this because I was always told this to suppress your emotions. And then so when somebody comes along, like happened a couple weeks ago and shows me love, I go into self-sabotage mode. I don't know how to handle it. And so then I start searching this person out, like, why aren't they talking to me? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, and trying to please these people. But you cannot do that. You're searching for something that you don't have for yourself in someone else, and it never works. And the reason I say it never works is because I've been in 2 relationships in the last 21 years, one for 7 years and one for 13 years. Technically, actually 15 years, because I met her, the one that I'm splitting with now, I met her in art college and I didn't even think anything of it. We just talked in email form. There was no texting, right? So I met this, so like 15 years of knowing this person. And I didn't have enough love for myself to love this other person. So I've been going in, I'm not in that right now, but I was going through this downward spiral of, why aren't they messaging me back, or what is it about me, or blah, blah, blah. And it's an on stream of stuff that comes out. These emotions are crazy. And if you finally allow yourself to actually have them, you don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to handle it. Most people, I don't think, know how to handle it. So they suppress it. They watch TV, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is. Just did not feel it. And I decided this time that I have to just feel it. I have got to just let it happen. Let it go. The woman in question right now is like, why don't you just let go and let the universe take us where it's going to? I know I'm moving to a new chapter in my life. Splitting with an ex, moving to a new place, don't know where the hell I'm moving, and all this kind of stuff. It's all rushing in, and I start thinking about why did my ex, both of these exes in the last 2 decades, it ended the exact same way, and it was me. I know it was me because it's ending the exact same way. I was looking for the exact same person, and if you're always looking for the exact same person, you're always going to get the same result. Well, this new person, I don't know if they even watch my videos right now because I know they're very busy. This new person wasn't this. This new person was something new. I've never looked for somebody that had a personality that I really jive with. I've always just, I'm not going to say settle because these are good people, but in my mind, I just needed somebody to love me, but I couldn't love them back because I didn't love myself enough to do so. And it's not fair to them. And it took, this many years for her to get out of this relationship, whereas my ex-wife probably is a little more intelligent with that. And she's like, dude, peace, I got to go. And I don't blame him. But I did for a long time. And this last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I just sat there at my desk looking at a candle. And I realized that I had to forgive them and myself. And I did. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't still have these thoughts coming in, but I'm allowing them to happen now. The thoughts come in and I just go out. Whereas before I would have just internalized it. I would have stared at something. I would have just done, this. But there's two questions that I found, and his name was Clark Kegley. I'm sure if you look into this field, you've heard of him. I wrote them down. So the first question is, and it's a very simple question. It's a yes or a no. Can I allow myself to feel as unhappy as I do in this moment? And the answer for me was yes. I'm finally allowing it to just happen. But previous me, even like 2 months ago, would have said, hell no. Give me a potato or so. You know what I mean? Give me some fries. I can't handle this. The me now that everything's being torn apart, everything's just being eradicated, my entire life is being torn apart, which is fine by me because everything that in my life is always either 100% or nothing, right? And it's being torn apart like this, and I'm fine. So the answer to me was yes. The second question, number 2, can I allow myself to feel as happy as I do in this moment? And the answer to that question was yes. Because what else are you going to do? Are you going to just go do drugs? Are you going to drink? Are you going to get a prostitute? I mean, what are you going to do other than just deal with it? And this is the first time that I'm finally doing this. And this is why I'm making this channel, or this is why I made this channel. This is not something I would have done in the past. I would have just gone over a buddy's house, or I would have played video games, or I would have bought a new video game that I've already got entire shelves worth of video games that aren't even open yet. Because I like video games. I used to love video games, but I don't play them that much anymore. I got a 3DS on the couch over here that's got a game in it, Bravely Default, that I've been trying to beat for 2 years now. But I haven't because it's just, I play them and I'm like, there's so many other things that I could be doing right now. So I just don't do it. But this is what I would have done. The old me, and place yourself in whatever mode this is. Maybe you would have gone drinking. Maybe you gotten some drugs, or whatever it is. But when you finally work on yourself, when you finally get to a point where you're like, enough is enough, I got to work on myself. That is when you can really grow. And you will attract the people that you need. It's amazing the people that I'm attracting into my life right now. It's amazing. I'm so thankful for these people. But when you finally get to that point where you're ready to let go and let everything flow in, you might even hear from this other person that you put on this pedestal, right? I put this woman on a pedestal and I shouldn't have. She's just another human. But when you put somebody on a pedestal, or when you put some object on a pedestal, or when you put you can't have this, you can't have this, whatever it is, when you put it at an unachievable level, it will always be unachievable. Always. I've had this in my life before. When I was just flowing, for example, I ran a photography studio. I was selling insurance at the time. I was making decent money. I said to the guy that I work with every day, it wasn't really a partner, but we kind of just partnered up just to, mitigate the cost of travel and all that kind of stuff. I said to him, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I want to run a studio. I've always wanted to run the studio. Not always. I mean, I didn't, but for years now, I've wanted to run the studio. And I did it. We rented a building. He helped me out. He had a decent amount of money. And I had all the camera gear, and there was lighting there, and I ran it. And the people that were coming into my life, it was insane how many people were coming into my life. And then all of a sudden, I self-sabotaged myself because I'm thinking I'm not worthy of this. So I moved to the East Coast. I found a girl. I moved to the East Coast. And the whole thing falls apart because I didn't know how things worked on the East Coast yet. And I thought I was going, and I thought I had, but it was a different mentality. And I until I got to that point where I had the mentality or the skills or whatever to work on the East Coast. So everything fell apart. But there's many, many instances. And I'm sure anybody who's watching this has had this happen when they finally let go, or when they want something. When you want something, you don't have it, right? And you can't have it. When you want something, you cannot have it. That energy does not allow it to come in. But maybe you wanted, I don't know, a car. You wanted this car really bad. I mean, really bad. You go to work and you do this and you do that. And all of a sudden you forget about this car. Maybe it's like 3 years old. It's 3 models ago, right? But then all of a sudden you need to get a car. And you have the option to get this car now because you thought... You don't think about it anymore. You just let things happen. And you might not even want that car anymore. You might want a different car. But you'll have the ability to get that other car now that you've let go and just let things happen. Whereas before you were thinking about it all the time. Oh, I really want that car. Or whatever it is. Maybe you want love, a loving relationship. Maybe you're too specific. Maybe... I'm not a coffee drinker, but a lot of people meet in coffee houses. Maybe you're thinking, I'm going to go to this coffee house at 7 o'clock this morning or, 8 o'clock this morning. For me, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning, right? I can't do the morning. And I'm going to meet this girl. She's going to be sitting at this table. And meanwhile, there's no one there. And you fuss about it. And you go to, I don't know, the grocery store. Got to get bananas. And there's this perfect woman for you at the bananas. But you're fuming about the fact that the coffee house didn't have your ideal woman sitting there at the table that you wanted. But you meet the ideal woman at the banana stand. And this is, don't read anything into that. I'd buy a lot of bananas. I'm a raw vegan. And, but you can't see her. You got your blinders on. You got the coffee house blinders on. And she just passes you right by. This could have been the person for you. And it's gone. All because you had a belief that really you didn't need to have, but you had it. You forced it on yourself when you could have just let go and let things flow. Now, I'm not saying that you may never meet this other one again. I'm not saying that you're not going to meet anybody else again. But in that exact moment, you kind of just let it fly, and it didn't happen. And this is what people do in their lives, and they wonder why. They just wonder why nothing ever works because they're constantly trying to control the situation, but they got to just let go and they've got to work on themselves. You have got to, when you are in a situation where you are mentally and physically or whatever drained and you're trying so desperately to get something in your life, the best time to do self-work is at that exact moment. Get a notebook, get whatever. Start writing stuff down. Start working on yourself. Start reading books on self-help. Not like, something that doesn't resonate with you, something that resonates with you. Get in a mindset that you're worth working on. And work on yourself. And before you know it, everything that you thought you couldn't achieve, you will already have achieved and more. That's my video. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.